This is a Home Story Cup replay. Once again, you can find the replay pack if you just Google Home Story Cup replays or search on Reddit or Wikipedia. It's accessible in a lot of different places, so if you want to see this yourself or just steal builds because there are some damn good players at Home Story Cup, you can definitely do that. But I will be casting Clem versus Harstem, one of many best of threes that happened at Home Story Cup. I'll go into a bit more information about these players after the introductions. We're on Acid Plant in the bottom right. As the blue Terran, it's Clem. We need cat on this cast. Okay, you know, I'll put that up. In the top left, as the red Protoss, it is Harstem. I guess I can put a cat cam up. There you go. We good now? Okay. So, Harstem is a recognizable name for many people. He's had his ups and his downs. He's been around for quite some time. Sometimes one of the best Protoss, maybe occasionally the best Protoss in Europe, but not for very long, unfortunately. Always looking to really, like, cement his place in StarCraft 2. After Nation Wars, it seemed like he would do very well, and actually, the reverse kind of happened. He didn't do well at the next two events that he went to, which was, I think, a big disappointment for him. And that kind of happens. There's no real explanation for that other than you just gotta keep grinding away. But in the bottom right, you might not recognize Clem yet, as maybe he doesn't play as many online cups. There have been like a ton of European cups online. But I do believe he plays in like a decent number of them, so you probably do recognize this guy. But those who don't, young player. I think he's, I want to say he's actually like a couple months older than Raynor, but they're both 16 at this point. So 16 years old, he's a Terran player, and he's very good. He's had a couple of very good performances and a couple of best of threes, and I was hoping he'd do well in Home Story Cup, but as I said in the last replay I did of the cast of the replays, is that I don't know the actual results here. I know who got into the top 8, basically, but this is a group stage round robin, so there's like a ton of matches that were played in this group, and I don't know the results. So I don't know if he beats Harstem, and I don't know if he got out of his group, basically. No, that is not true, 14th. I don't know who's spreading that rumor. Ooh, that probe went down. This is Acid Plant, so the Reaper's gonna have some tough times to get the information at once, but it did actually get in there, scout the Stargate, and then get out. So well done there on the Reaper micro. And he killed Harstem's probe. So micro just like check in favor of Clem here. Plus the opening of Adepts, to be honest, can be a bit of a tell, especially if they go for more than one Adept. I mean, reasons being, costs a little less gas. You can still technically afford the Stargate with the Stalker, but costs a little less gas, as well as it pairs up with an attack often. You can always threaten the Terran player with 2 Adepts and an Oracle attacking them directly, as opposed to just the Oracle trying to get SCV damage, because to be honest, it doesn't get much SCV damage anymore, especially once it's scouted. But this is a kind of interesting opener here. It's a bit of a dangerous opener too, I would say, against this build, if he's going to be aggressive with it. And, you know, obviously the Hellions don't shoot up. So the Hellions are going to try and get in before the wall is done. That's another reason why it can be a risky build, is a lot of Protosses are walling off on Acid Plant. But in fact, Harstem is not, so those Hellions could do some damage. Adepts are waiting though, and this Adept just snuck on by. This Oracle's gonna help take out the Hellions, which are light, so they go down very quickly to the Oracle. And this is not a great start, and it's not even necessarily because of the build, I want to say. It just was a lot of, there's actually a lot of unluckiness in this, you know? Like, his Hellions, they darted in, they decided not to, but then they could have escaped even farther. The Oracle might not have found them. This Adept maybe should have been seen and killed by the Hellions, but that was kind of a perfect play around Clem's opener from Harstem, who now has 2 Oracles and no Widow Mines, but there are Cyclones. The tricky thing is, though, is that Harstem doesn't technically know that. He is going to dive in, however, grabs 2 SCVs and gets out. Cyclone damage, not very good to air, so until there's 4 of them, you can get out with the Oracle almost every single time. Yeah. Well, why would I put my cam on for casting? I know Pig does that, but I always thought that was kind of weird. We have a fairly fast Nexus. This is kind of I mean, I feel like the original 3rd base timing that came along when people were actually figuring out build orders in Legacy of the Void. They were like, Stargate Orb is pretty good, let's get a really fast 3rd Nexus behind this. But then it kind of fell to the wayside. I feel like more people were getting later thirds. But to get like a 3:30 to 4-minute third was quite normal. Once again, the Oracle lives because Cyclones are bad. And this just puts him up in a decent macro position. There's not much Clem can do about it, but he did open up with not just 2 Cyclones, it went into 6. So, you know, unless Harstem was making Phoenix, it actually could be a bit of trouble. This is just making a lot of Stalkers, though, and this should be enough. Actually, he did make a couple Phoenix, too, so that is definitely enough. Even without the Phoenix, I think this would have been fine, but the Phoenix just make this so easy. I am casting this whole best of 3. So obviously Clem's a little worried. His openers just have not gone very well. He doesn't find himself super behind. You know, the worker count's fine. The armor supply is about to dip down even lower as the Cyclones get chased down, but that's okay. Stim timing's alright too, but like nothing ever really went his way. He finally gets an Oracle, but that's like the first thing that he finally got going in his favor here. So it's not that great, and he certainly does need the bunker. Now, Blink would not be that fast behind a Stargate opener, but it is on the way, and that was just a lot of units. So if he didn't have a bunker, he could have died a very silly death here. One of the weakest points of a Terran, especially if they open up with like a 1-1-1, or in this case a reacted factory, is that production. You're swapping add-ons, their barracks are still building. You need that bunker. But this means that, you know, Harstem can't do much damage, but he gets in there, scouts the 3rd CC. Like, he's not gonna take much damage either. So he gets this 3rd base, he gets to saturate, put all his Chrono Boost into, you know, riskier things like a Forge, or even gone for a double Forge, is exactly what he's doing. He's adding on a 2nd Forge. And, you know, maybe even go up to charge with that Chrono a bit quicker. Like, he doesn't have to actually worry about building units so much, as he can just sit back and relax a little bit. He may even get a 4th base a bit faster. And that might just be where the point of contention will be. Not so much the 3rd base. If Clem had done like a tank push, and that's where people would be fighting, but because he has to wait a little while longer, maybe around the 4th. But actually pouncing on top of these Stalkers, Stim finished before Blink, and Harstem just wasn't expecting that, so gets caught and loses a lot of Stalkers. That's pretty good. Clem starting things off nice, and Harstem is going in a bit of emergency mode. He's adding on shield batteries. He's, you know, has to replace those Stalkers. He has to worry about a drop now that Stim is done and Medivacs are out. And meanwhile, Clem is getting his 3rd. I'll say it's not fully saturated, but that's what's going to happen sometimes. Medivacs were seen, I'm pretty sure, by the Oracle. Yes, they were. No? Okay, turn back for like a second, but I guess it was on the same hotkey as this one. That's awkward. The Phoenix were supposed to be able to at least stop that. The Oracle gets taken down. This Oracle is going to get taken down. Oh god, both Oracles go down, and Harstem starting to really mess up here. He had such a great first 6 minutes, and then within the span of 60 seconds... has taken that damage that was otherwise missing. So that 4th base is no longer something he could try and grab. If everything had gone perfectly and he had gotten a couple of disruptors, I think he's trying to grab that pretty soon. But he's gonna have to wait a little while longer. Oh gosh, the Wood of Mines get some great shots, and that was with Blink available. Harstem not taking the best of fights. He's focusing too many places at once. The left side, he does deflect, but it's not like he's trading super well. Right side, he does start taking a better trade. Blink forward, grabs the Medivac. That was nice for him. And Clem is trying to be all over the place, really trying to out-multitask Harstem. He's also got, what, a Wood of Mine drops it up to the right side. He depowers a couple of gateways. He's going to take out maybe a Stalker or 2 before he gets out. No, he's just going to get out. It barely lives. Just kidding, that Phoenix is still alive. But the Wood of Mine dropping here, it is responded to very quickly. Not going to get too many probes. It is going to try and get out and come back later. Upgrades looking actually pretty good, I think, for the Terran, who's managed to keep the pace with 2-1. Now, Harstem, remember, he got like a bit of a quicker Forge, and I think he just didn't start +1 armor because things started to go topsy-turvy. So that might have been different, again, had he had some better defenses. Left, right, though, and he's ended up taking damage, a little bit of damage every single time. But now he's on a charge. Now he's onto those upgrades. Now he's going to have a decent number of disruptors, and he's also going to add in a Dark Shrine to start bringing the pain back to Clem, because he has not had anything done to Clem's side of the map since those Stalkers were found and killed by the Stim. So Clem's got his full saturation on his 3rd base. He's got a 4th base on location being built, almost the same time as Harstem. You know, actually like half a minute behind, but still a good sign for the Terran. Center tower is very nice. You're gonna have like one little gap where you can maybe get a warp prism in. But there's still harassing going on. One of mine's here. I guess one of mine's over there. They didn't get too much. Very even on the workers killed. Potentially taking away some very important units. At that fourth base, no vision on the incoming army because he's lost so many oracles. How many oracles has he lost this game? 3 oracles. So he still has 1 because he's been pretty mindful about rebuilding them. He doesn't have a lot of observers around, so they kind of need to do that. What the? Oh, that's a mistake. Oh, but Disruptors. Disruptors gonna be so hard to fight against. The Widow Mines, they want to get a shot, but it's more likely that they'll get killed. No, they're actually gonna get a couple shots. There we go. And this looks like it is going to be time for Clem to evacuate. Do I cast live tournaments sometimes? Yes, I do sometimes cast live tournaments. I'm sorry, if you're actually new to the channel, then I'm a fairly well-known caster. I do WCSs and Nation Wars and BlizzCon and stuff like that. Anyways, DTs are finally coming to play. This is time for Harstem to kind of snap back after being the defender for so long. Hopefully get some damage on the SCVs, but he still doesn't have a Warp Prism. No, he does not. So there's not going to be any reinforcements to this main push. There's not going to be any distraction otherwise. But Clem might have been overzealous in the amount he was doing as Harstem barely weathered the storm and now has a very scary army. Disruptors are very difficult to deal with. And these ETs definitely distracted Clem, but funnily enough, because his army came back in a straight line, it worked out really well against the Disruptors. They had an unintentional concave, I'm pretty sure. And now it's Clem's time to just be in the defensive. He would really like a few more Liberators at this point, probably 4 or 5, and then obviously he wants to get up to more and then Liberator range. But against these Disruptors, having 4 Liberators would mean that Harstem really couldn't do much. But Harstem is trying to do something, and now he's the one that's just going left, right, and center. DT's over to the right side, DT in the main base potentially, and the army just constantly revolving around this space. A center tower would work wonders, but he lost the one on the right side. I don't think he ever had one off to the left. So Harstem, now in control of this game, is taking his 5th base, going up to Tempest, realizing that the answer to this composition for Clem is going to be those Liberators. He needs to think about a counter right now. He's already going to be up to Tempests, and Clem is not going to... He's not going to have that kind of freebie, not win, but time where you can just calm down a little and just rely on Liberators. When you get the 6 to 8 Liberators with the range and +2, the Terrans start to feel really at ease. But then they get the Tempests, and then you have to think about getting the Vikings and controlling and EMPing, and oh my god, it's a whole thing. But this is maybe a very poor time for Clem to pick up all of his army as he loses his 4th base, loses his building 5th. But Harstem, funnily enough, doesn't have much vision on what's going on here, so he didn't realize that there was a big pickup or that there aren't any Liberators. But every sim is going to hurt here. DTs are warped in. Definitely a good tool to have in case this did go into a base trade. But it's not a literal base race here, but we are trading bases 1 for 1. Clem trying to get out now. And to boost his medevacs, there we go. Is already replacing his 4th base, and they keep very even on the supply. I don't know if this was cast, but this is a really good game. I'm glad I picked it. Hey, Sir GeForce. Now, Clem does not know about the 5th base. No, he doesn't. Just a couple pylons, which, could just be scouting. It doesn't really say that there's a base there. He's fine. Oh, no! Oh, no. He's not supposed to have vehicle weapons. He's supposed to have ship weapons. I'm 100% certain, actually. It's 100% certain that he meant to get ship weapons. +1 weapons does not help you at all. It doesn't help Widow Mines. That's a big mistake. That's just going to further delay his +2 ship weapons, which is the most important thing you can get. These Widow Mines are doing surprisingly well. Literal minefield going on here that Harstem doesn't have detection for. So he's constantly having to pull back. This is going to be a big concave potentially. No, maybe if there are more units off the left side, but Liberty's coming through the middle as well. And that did become kind of a sandwich situation. Harstem has to get out, but oh my gosh, the supply is so in favor of Harstem. The arm supply is not. That's why this looks pretty even, but the worker count is just so bad. Clem went down to 25 SCVs. GG. That was a very good game. Isn't this ship a vehicle? Don't question StarCraft. Oof. I'm sure my leg's starting to hurt, so I'm gonna sit down again. Ow. I I think his point was that the naming of it is kind of incorrect. Which he's not wrong. A ship is a vehicle. Cat's gone. Sorry, guys. Do. Look for the right scene here. All right. On to game number 2. On Lost and Found, on the top right, you just lost the last game. It is Clem. In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, it is Harstem. Is that a sit-stand desk? Yes, it is. I would like to stand more often, but I have this nerve problem right now where if I sit too long, it hurts when I stand up. I have to stretch it out and like ice it down. And if I stand too long, my foot goes numb. So it truly is a balance, you guys. Show desk. No, that'd be too difficult to do. That'd be too annoying. I'm not gonna do that. Thank you, Zeno. So, Clem. He had a pretty good mid-game. It's funny, you know, the early game, not great for Clem. Mid-game, great for Clem. Late game, not great for Clem. Which is not quite what happens in TVP all the time, but certainly the old way of looking at things is Terran's best part of the game is the mid-game. Zergs will say, oh, the early game's really good too, or even, you know, Protoss, if they do a Cyclone Rush, something like that. And that's, you know, certainly it's not just a fact. Certainly some other races have some good mid-game builds, but it's always like mid-game, that's where Terran does really well. They have stim, they have combat shields, they have medevacs, they're supposed to do a lot of damage and really start to hinder the Protoss, who, again, old saying is that Protoss late game is going to be better, so you just have to not let them get there in a comfortable way. And that still is true. But to be honest, all the races have scary late game potential. Clem, I think, just went too hard on the mid game. You know, like he was doing damage. It felt really good. He was probably feeling the flow. And then suddenly he started trading a little bit poorly every time. And instead of being ready to transition to a stronger army, basically liberators, especially against the disruptors he was seeing, he was caught without it. So he was caught not able to truly defend all of his bases, easily deal with all the harassment, and it became really awkward. But this is not supposed to happen, speaking of awkward. The probe is kind of supposed to die to the Marine so that the probe doesn't scout that it's a tech lab, because if it's a tech lab this fast, it's almost 100%, let's say 98%, going to be the Marauder slow build. So that was supposed to be a bit more of a surprise, and Harstem was hopefully going to send a unit over and, you know, get it killed to the tag, but that's not going to happen anymore. Clem could try and go across the map and do some damage, but considering it was scouted, it would probably be a bad idea, and we do have a Stargate opener, so Oracles would help out, you know, they just stay at home. Kind of sucks, but it's really not the worst thing, because it does still kind of smoothly transition into a 3-racks, which can be a good build, for sure. You're gonna get stim faster usually anyways, and Marauder slow is not a very expensive upgrade. This is something that Harstem should be anticipating, but he will have an Oracle to confirm. He's also making sure that the army isn't coming across the map by shading his adepts forward and scouting, which I think is very neat. That's very neat indeed. I mean, it's possible the Cyclones come from here and he's screwed, but that's not what's happening. Or not the Cyclones, the Marauders. But that's what the Oracle is scouting, so he is 100% covered. Now, it looks like Clem is just guessing it's going to be a Stargate. You know, he sacrificed the Reaper to get that Marine that was supposed to stop the probe from scouting. And it's a good call. Harstem loves his Stargate. Even when I feel like Zest was showing the best form of patch 4.0, when Stalkers are really overpowered, let's just be honest, they were. Even when Zest was like, just go Twilight Council, Robo, and do Blank, Harstem was still doing a lot of Stargate openers. So this guy just really likes Stargate openers, I feel. Maybe he would say differently. So that's a good guess by Clem. And now, so with him building, the missile turrets beforehand, sorry, not beforehand, but sooner than anticipated, like really a priority on those missile turrets, and then a priority on the +1, because you have the engineering bay anyways, I really would have anticipated him going for a pre-medevac push, which is what he was maybe thinking about doing, but it's hard to do against the Oracle, because once the Oracle sees that, hey, there's no army here, it's gonna go scouting for it. They're gonna have shield batteries, so he didn't have to build the missile turrets if he was just gonna stay at home. Is kind of what it boils down to. But because the Oracle is gonna scout this, I don't know if he really wants to commit with it. He does want to try and catch the Oracles, I think, out of position, not paying attention, so that's why his army's out here, maybe. If he was gonna go for the push, he could have gone a little bit sooner, but maybe waiting for more units. +1 would have finished as he went over, but he is gonna go for the pre-medevac push. And the Oracles, you know what? They were trying to scout for the army, and funnily enough, they missed it multiple times, going over to the left side. So... But this should be, like, ringing alarms. Like, where's the army? Where's the army? And Clem just comes back. This is a very awkward game for Clem, I feel. Because he's still taking damage from the Oracles, and his opener... Oh, at least he has one Oracle. His opener, I feel like, was supposed to be more potent. Well, it was his Marauder slow opener was supposed to be more surprising. I think his 3-racks opener was supposed to be more of a surprise. But he's still ultimately forced to wait for his medevacs, which are now going to be popping out at 6:30 and hitting at like 7 minutes, right? Where that's not really ideal. This is a very awkward game. I never trusted you after you defended the old anti-armor missile. Okay. You do you. I don't remember being such a huge advocate of it. I did say I wanted to not to be spammable, but I thought it was necessary. That is a pretty good trade right there. Clem comes in with the other half of his army, and Harstem did not see that coming, I guess. It was underestimated. Everything gets sniped, and despite what I consider a very awkward opener, maybe Harstem just got a little too cocky and loses the game. Yep, that's what happens. Chi-chi. Yeah, right then. Of course he's making a joke, but there's always some truth to a joke. I did defend the old anti-air missile. Okay, so it's tied up 1-1. After I definitely didn't expect it to be. Game number 3 on Catalyst. In the bottom right is the blue Terran. He is Clem. In the top left is the red Protoss. It's Harstem. Games can just turn on a dime. Yes, they can. I truly think that was Harstem being overconfident. He was in a, I consider a good position if he just played defensive and maybe got a shield battery or two. But he was maybe a little bit confused. He might have been seeing all the things that I was talking about. I mean, I don't consider myself like, you know, as smart as Harstem or as good as this game as Harstem, obviously. But he might have just been like, okay, he went for really fast engineering bay for missile turrets. He might do a push. I gotta be prepared for the push. Okay, he's not doing it. Okay, he's not doing it. Okay, he is doing it. Okay, he's not doing it. Okay, he's doing it. And perhaps because of that, he thought that he was going to be in an okay position by the time it did push, because it was kind of a late push. Where maybe if he didn't have so much scouting, it's kind of a funny thing when you have too much scouting, maybe he would have been more defensive and just would have assumed like, okay, I need to be defensive. But because he scouted what he did, he thought maybe it would be bad. I'm not sure, but he was caught supremely out of position. He certainly didn't expect at least half of that army to be there. So that was, you know, problem number one. Despite having 3 oracles, he did not actually have the greatest of scouting. He didn't constantly revelation the army. So that's the biggest problem, regardless of whatever other things were happening inside Harstem's head. And Clem, I feel, kind of gets a game off of what was not a terrible opener. It's not like he was bound to lose that game if that didn't happen, but kind of an awkward one. Not a great one. He turned it great and then won the game instantly after that. I don't think his problem is too many oracles either. I think 3 oracles can be fine. He just really needs to be at home, use his force fields defensively. Guardian Shield obviously would have been impactful had it started immediately, not been pounced upon. And a couple of shield batteries. But oh well. Yes, this is replay. This is from Home Story Cup. It looks like Clem was a fan of that 3 racks opener, so he's not going to do the Tech Lab version of this. Nice catch on the probe. With the Marauder slow first, but he is going to do a 3 rack, which still gives you some pretty fast stim. The question is, it always is, once you determine it's a 3 racks, because your Oracle scouts it, for instance, as a Protoss player, or maybe you're lucky enough to get the probe back in, like he was trying to do, what timing are the Terrans trying to hit? That's the ultimate question. Are they going to wait for their medevacs? Are they going to do a drop with their medevacs or do a frontal push? Are they not going to wait for their medevacs and do something with or without upgrades? Like, tons of questions still to be asked when you scout this. And to be honest, even if you scout it and predict their movement correctly, it's still a very powerful push. A lot of Marines, a lot of Marauders with all their upgrades. So defending a third base can be tricky against it. But scouting is problem number 1. Nice little clever spot for the Adept. We'll take out the Reaper and he won't lose the Adept. So he wins that micro war. It is, of course, going to be the Stargate opener, which Clem is already anticipating. And he's getting Engineer Bay around the same time you would want to anyways, but this is going to be nice so he can kind of maneuver around again with those Marines and have a missile turret at home to protect him. Because what are mines? Clearly aren't going to be part of play. Okay, so I talked about this in the first game. You can pair up 3 Adepts with an Oracle and try and just straight up kill the army. Now, because of the 3 racks, I feel like it inherently is better against the Adept pressure with the Oracle. I'm surprised Harstem tried to do it, but I think the key thing is he was thinking the Marines would be split up. If there's 5 Marines in the natural and 5 Marines in the main defending against the Oracle, well, 4 and 4 actually, then the Adept Oracle pressure kind of snowballs. So I'm almost positive that's what he was hoping for. But there's lots of turrets. Now, we still got some damage done. We got 3 SCVs dead. We got a couple of Marines. Oracle's barely going to escape alive. Not too shabby. Unfortunately, he lost quite a few Adepts, though, and in total, well, I guess he's winning the resources lost, but it's such a tiny number. Seems like Blazer always wants to hang out with me at around 3:30 to 4 o'clock. Should put this guy on a timer. Now, this Marine army is maneuvering around once again. I guess he just does this to try and catch the Oracle. It's not so much about pushing right here and now, even though he does have Steam and Combat Shields. It is about catching the Oracle and then pushing. That's... I wonder if that backfires on him sometimes. Interesting. Well, he is now ready to push, and he's doing it before those medevacs with +1. Stasis Trap is going to be very helpful. Clem should anticipate a stasis trap, though, to be honest. No, he's gonna be too close! Okay, he saw it. Oh, it was really close. Oh, okay. +1's not done, but those Oracles are gonna get shredded by the Marines. At least one of them is gonna live. Maybe that bought enough time for the Stalkers to win out here, but the Marauders are still alive, and that shield bearer is not quite done. It will finish now, however, and just barely be enough. That was a close one. Harstem would have felt a lot better had that shield battery already been done, but at least he holds. And now you've just taken away a lot of the bio, so it's no longer going to be like this huge push with medevacs. It's going to be like basically double medevacs worth of units. But Clem is doing something very important that Harstem would love to scout. I would say in a lot of games nowadays, once you scout that they have a natural and like what tech they're going for, you can kind of get away with maybe not scouting again. You just look for their army. But there's definitely some things that, you know, Protoss, Zerg, Terran can do on that mid-game. Terran, they don't go for a 3rd CC, they go for a 5-rack. Zerg go for like a 1-1 all-in Roach push. Protoss, a bunch of gateways with Charge or Blink, right? So you're going to try and scout that, and it should be easy for an Oracle, but it's not actually maneuvering around right now. It's in the dark. It's got 2 oracles. He's in the dark, and funnily enough, it's like a conundrum. They will help if he's pushed without knowing it, but they could also just scout it. But if they try and scout it and don't scout it and aren't there back at home, then they might die. Like, Well, I think one of them should be used to go out and cast Revelation, but they're not. But Harstem's kind of compensating here. He's going for pylons everywhere. Again, there's that adept on the right side. Now he's gonna have an idea where the army is, so maybe they cast Revelation now. Yeah. And Clem is trying to come across the map as soon as his medevacs pop out. Ooh, loses the Oracle. Poor Harstem's Oracles. You don't want to be an Oracle in Harstem's army. But at least one lives. Blink is done, +1 is done. Armor's not quite finished for Clem, and his medevacs aren't here. No, they are. The +1 armor is not done. 10 more seconds. He's up against 2 shield batteries and quite a few stalkers. +1 armor is almost finished. Clem is going to go for a 3rd CC, but obviously after all those barracks, it's going to be a lot of reinforcements very, very quick. And this is something that Harstem doesn't really know. Oh, just kidding, he does know now. He knows how late the 3rd was. Not the latest, obviously, but not comparable to that Asoplant game, for instance, where it was much quicker 3rd. At least it's on location. Oh, he ends up triggering it! Oh, it rarely ever happens. He triggered the stasis trap, but his Marine still died. That timing, though. Oh, the Marauders, the first thing that's gonna be focused fire. That was so key to taking out the Marauders. Oh my god, but that blink forward. Oh, what bad timing from Clem to try and save those Marauders. 4 Marauders instantly go down. That's so expensive. It would have been better to lose them and just let them trade in front of the force fields. Oh, damn. And this 3rd CC, definitely risky to put on location, is going to be punished a little bit. And imagine it's still finished up, but if it doesn't finish, Clem is totally all in. Robotics Bay is now on the way. Harstem's been liking disruptors lately, but can he get there? There's still a lot of pressure, and he does not have charge. Immortal in the back needs to actually get in the front. There we go. But he's once again going to be targeted a little bit. There's the pickup that he meant to do last time. This time his medevac doesn't die for it. But it's not going to be enough. He's trying to use the army to its fullest extent, but it's just barely not enough. Now Harstem is missing sentries. He's not going to have a Guardian shield, but he has 3, now 4 shield batteries on the way. He knows he delayed the 3rd CC, but it is done. Probably going to wait a little while longer to try and harass the SCVs. Clem was not building SCVs for a big period of time because he was fully saturated on 2 bases, so now he gets back into it. It's going to take a while to saturate that 3rd. Whew. And there is going to be a delay on Clem's upgrades for a while, I believe. A lot of Terrans, I think, prefer holding off on 2-2. It's almost inevitable the Pro is going to get ahead of you, so it's like, just build more units, right? Good response here, good response. Fortunately, the leftovers of that drop were picked off, but he sees the drop. Harstem doing a very good job patrolling around here. Thanks to that stalker right here, the pylon over there. He doesn't have Revelation doing much work for him anymore. These oracles have kind of been left by the wayside. There we go. A good job patrolling. A 4th base should be on Harstem's mind eventually, but because he knows the timing of that 3rd and lack of saturation, he can wait a little while. Now up to double forge. Upgrades are completely even. Dark Shrine once again on the way. They're Widow Mines now, so even though charge is done, Zealots have to be very careful what they do here. There's an attack on the 3rd base, killing some SCVs, but that's all about this fight. And the Widow Mines aren't really getting any shots. It's not so much a charge out army as it is a mass-playing stalker army. And that is working surprisingly well. Now the disruptors are here. Nice micro against that. But this 3rd CC, he saved the SCVs. Oh, temporarily. Spoke too soon. There's not a lot to defend against these charge lots that now have equal upgrades. So 9 SCVs go down. And that's a lot of lost mining time. Meanwhile, Harstem has not had to pull his probes at any point. And he catches this medevac drop. I mean, that seemed inevitable. Oracles have been casting Revelation. Clem's trying to get a big surprise. It's just not happening. And he is about to lose out to the army. Harstem's ahead 20 army supply. And it feels like that acid plant once again, where he stayed too long in the mid-game. Maybe just posturing, but actually trying to play more of a macro game would have been better. Like, you can't just stop trying to pressure, especially when he opened up with the 5 barracks that he did. But maybe it would be better for him just to kind of constantly fake the pressure and be ready to get out of there. This drop ends up getting unloaded, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It was all of his Widow Mines for it, and he lost 22 SCVs back at home. So it's still going very favorably for Harstem, who does grab that 4th base. Going to continue his lead. He's going to lose that Meg score. Always a disappointing place to put necessity to stop the Reaper, but very easy pick-off for the Terran otherwise. Ah, Dark Templars are coming into play now, and they're being warped in at that 3rd. Of course they are. Clem down to 39 SCVs. Should be muling like... Yeah, that's what he's doing. Muling like no one's business. He has 1 scan. But that's it. And will he be paying attention? He's tried to just win this game through sheer micro, and it just hasn't worked. And actually, he just... Yeah, we don't even get to see the fight. We don't even get to see the DTs. He just taps out. Oh, well. When you're hovering close to 100 supply, that's pretty a bad sign at 12 minutes into the game. GG. Harstem takes the game. Despite Clem getting a pretty good start to the series. Well, no, actually, he didn't get rid of a start to the series, did he? That was Asaplan. He got at least 1 game back, but it was a bit of a cheeky 3-racked attack.